Hey, we're Kurt and Danette Share with the Broken for Better podcast.
Yeah, and together we're on a mission to equip and empower marriages. We want to strengthen families for everyday life.
Enjoy the episode.
Listen, tonight is a very, very special one for us.
Yes.
We have some guests this evening. I'm going to let them do the intros.
Lord.
But we're going to talk all things premarital counseling, benefits, the scary parts, the negatives. Does it work? Does it not work? As a young couple enters into their greatest days of marriage. So I just want to take a moment and welcome these two. Give it up. I'll let you go ahead and tell your story, share who you are, what you're about, how you met. Give us just a little background.
You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, I'm Megan.
I'm James.
So we actually met and started dating in high school. It's my junior year and your senior year. It's kind of something quick. We just kind of started, talking and,
Wait, like where did you see, like,
talking.
what was the moment?
What was the moment?
Like, what did it look like? Was it in the cafeteria? So they both went to Steffner. I actually coached James. I coached the baseball team. He played on the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we know each other. So how did you, was it you went to the baseball game in that uniform?
Like, hey,
Just-
girl.
It was the uniform.
Yeah.
It was the uniform.
He said,
No.
it just kind of happened, huh? Just
It did. So it actually was Snapchat.
was.
And he didn't know who it was. He
did.
said, "Who
I
dis?
said, who dis?
Who dis?"
I didn't know. But I knew of Megan.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know who it is, but I was like, let's see. Because there's multiple Megans at our school. So I was like, let's, and that was my signature, who dis? To send it out. So she responded with Megan. She sent a picture, and I was like, oh, she's pretty cute. So conversation started.
he says that who that is.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Conversation
Actually,
sparked, and then we had our first date. We were going to see the
We're gonna
First
see Jumanji.
Jumanji.
Okay.
The new one. Yeah. But
yeah, tell that story.
so it was kind of a funny first date story.
We're in. Tell us. I love that
so
you're the aggressor in the relationship. Like you went after him.
I did.
You hunted him down.
I asked
She knew
him.
what
I
she
asked him
wanted.
first.
Yeah.
I know.
Jumanji,
So
you're at your first.
Yeah, we went to go see Jumanji. We drove separately, so I was having dinner with my family beforehand, and he's not very good with directions. So I
fact.
went ahead and sent him my location.
Mhm.
My location had not updated yet, so I was still at dinner in Riverview, and we were meeting in Brandon.
Oh,
So I drove to
Oh, really?
Riverview.
nice.
I was in
Um,
Riverview. Yeah, I ended up paying for the first date.
She did.
I was nervous we were gonna miss the movie, so I went right up in there and I sat down in the seats.
I mean, the man
And I
didn't.
didn't reimburse her either.
Hey, she's like, the girl's like, with or without him, I'm watching this movie. I don't know where he's at, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yep,
I mean, you didn't hit her up on a Cash App, slide her the money back. You just.
it's all right. He's paid it forward now.
Ah, I like
You
it.
can
I
make it
like
on
it.
this weekend. You
Yeah.
can for the next one.
I like it.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome. Cool. So you've been married how long?
Over 3 months. It'll be
Since
4
May, so
months
yeah.
next week.
Oh
4
my
months.
Wow.
goodness,
Yeah.
almost 4.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I know.
4 months. That's
Do
crazy.
you feel like it's flying?
Yes.
It is
I didn't think It
already.
was 4 months.
I know.
It was only like a couple.
No, the other day he goes, "When did we get married?" I was like, "I'm not answering."
May 3rd.
that.
May 3rd. May 3rd.
Dude, it's almost 1 year anniversary, bro. Like you gotta know that.
It's right around the corner.
You better lock it down.
All right, so question, do you celebrate the month anniversaries?
I don't know.
You don't know if you celebrate them?
I don't know.
She's like, well,
because the first month I think we had dinner.
Yeah, I think more
But-
of like it was 1 month, and then I think maybe like 6 months. And
Right, yeah,
then,
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but it doesn't have to be. If it was a monthly thing, maybe something small. It doesn't have to be.
Dinner.
Yeah.
But like now, like the whole dating anniversaries are out the window, right?
That's right.
right.
Yeah.
So now it's just
Maybe the first
He's like,
date.
"What date do we
what
celebrate?"
we celebrate.
I mean, I celebrate them all. I mean,
Oh
she's
my
that,
goodness.
they're all
We're
special
celebrating.
days.
No.
We're celebrating.
We're
We'll start
married.
tomorrow.
What are we, 28 years and 9 months.
20,
Very good. No, I'm just
27 years in 9
kidding. Oh,
months.
yeah, you're right. 27.
She's like, I feel like it's been forever. Good Lord.
I'm fun.
A year. That's funny.
All right, so listen, we're going to dive right into this, okay? Give me like we did premarital together. And just the way that we do it is it's a 1 day thing. That's the way we operate at DNI.
Lock
It's
the
a
door and everything.
One day
Lock the
to
Can't get out.
lock the door, not going anywhere. Bring your snacks, bro. Like we're not using the restroom. So we sit through about a 3-hour, 4-hour period and kind of break it all down. So that's kind of just so you know, get a context of how we run premarital. That's kind of going to be what they're talking about. What now? So you signed up for premarital. We hadn't seen each other in years, man. Like
Probably since, I mean, maybe a couple times after high school, but other than that.
yeah, very little bit. I met Megan for the first time. So you got to be going into this. What were like the biggest fears of premarital? Were there any? Did you even think about hesitations, nervousness? Like what was the negative thoughts of it?
I mean, I was definitely probably more of the advocate for it. It's something I wanted to do. I think the biggest fear is just you're super emotional, super vulnerable. You're sharing things that may be hard to share, not only with your future husband or spouse, and then someone else as well. It's having hard conversations, I think, was the biggest fear for me, at least.
So your expectation that, well, give me your fear first, James. Like,
I would say, I mean, I joked about it a little bit, but honestly, I didn't want to do premarital counseling to where I was like, I don't see not anything that'll help us. I feel like we knew each other already, but there's so much more that you don't see after our premarital, to where not anything wrong with our relationship, but more on the fact of what we have inside and what we have in the past that could reflect our relationship in the future. To where I learned that now after doing premarital. But like I said before, I feel like that was a fear per se of, like Megan said, being vulnerable or actually doing it to where you're actually getting started for it.
It's funny. I think, and James, honestly, I think it's probably most dudes. It's like walking into someone, you walk into a counseling.
Yeah.
And it's like,
oh, here we go.
bro, we're screwed up. We ain't even started yet. Like
That was my thought process. That was it. Like, we haven't even got married yet. We're already getting counseling?
and it's the biggest like misconception.
It
you
is.
know? It
really
really
is.
And we really try to debunk it. So with D and I doing coaching, we're really trying to debunk this whole theory that those offices have to be bad.
Right.
Good stuff happens in those offices.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to be willing to get to that place.
You know what's so funny is before when we did ours, which again would have been, it would have been like 28 years ago because we did it before we got married, right?
Bro.
But I remember feeling like I don't want these people to know all my junk.
Good
Like
point.
we knew that the people that did our, our wedding personally, and I'm like, I don't want them to know all my junk. But yeah, it was.
Did they? I don't think they really asked us anything. Did they?
Yeah.
Well, then I lied to all their
You lied.
to
Like,
all their
you
interviews.
lied. But no, it was, which
Yeah.
it says a lot about how hard our first 2 years of marriage were.
She's like, I really wish you would have been honest. Might have saved us a lot of headaches.
But
So
Nonetheless.
so that's about so there that's for us.
Yeah.
Ours was different because it was a guy, and there's multiple different ways, and I used to kind of do it this way, honestly. He sat there with the Bible, and we
Yeah.
kind of walked through a lot and I wasn't really walking with the Lord at that point. So I'm sitting through this thing, probably why I wasn't even really honest, because you don't want to be transparent in that
you were like,
situation.
Jesus, that's the answer for everything.
Was They're like, you a virgin? Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can't be wrong. So when you get into it, okay, and what was it different than you like expected? Was exactly what you thought? Was it kind of, what was it being in there and processing the 17 sheets of paper that we had on?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I didn't see it as more of a surprise, but I mean, because the only thing that caught me by surprise was because everyone that I knew that did premarital was the hour here this week, hour here this week, hour here this week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never done it before, but I feel like doing the straight 4 to 5, you get through everything. I mean, right then and there. So you could do one this week and then doing the following week, and you forget what you talked about the last week. I mean, you're doing 4 to 5 hours of straight
That's actually a great.
counseling.
Yeah, that's-
to where you're not forgetting anything. It's all on the table right here
Yeah.
for the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what I found the most powerful, in my opinion.
I like that too. I really feel like structuring it differently like that has
Mhm.
helped us, even because so often you feel like you're getting to a breaking point or you're getting to information and then we have to stop because our time's up. We have
Come
another
back next
couple.
week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and we, we kind of sometimes often talk about it. We hit, so we go 55 minutes is like a normal coaching session
Yeah.
that we do. We hit about the 50-minute mark, and then somebody drops a bomb that you're like, uh-oh, we're about to high five these people and tell them to go on their way.
See you next week.
They're about to have some real conversation.
And it can be right
Right.
at a stopping point.
And it's-
where like you're getting
It's
good part.
crazy,
Yeah.
So one of the things that and I believe we would did this, I remember, but I remember when things come up, being able to go, okay, we're not going to move from this place
Mhm.
until there's healing, until we walk this out, till we talk this out and see. So it's a major benefit. You don't leave ribbons untied,
Ooh,
Stones unturned.
stones unturned.
Look at you guys. What else you got?
He is a man of wisdom, like, and an athlete.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Well, you know what's so funny? It's like thinking about you being like obviously your relationship with Peeler built off of being his baseball coach, right?
The fact that you just called him Peeler really warmed my heart.
I was
Like my heart just
that's the
warmed.
only
I'm
way I
like,
know him as
oh my
Peeler.
gosh, she
Mine a
is.
little bit too.
She's a baseball woman. Like that's what she does.
What I'm saying was, it's so crazy how it doesn't matter. And I know you've said this before, but it doesn't matter how good you are at a certain sport or at a certain line of work. We always get coaches for
Yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah.
And it is scary. You're walking into a new season, and often what we do is we say, "Oh, I feel like we're good, right? If we need help in any way, obviously that makes us seem like we're not good. But going in saying, no, I want to make sure that we are fine tuned. Like I'm at the best help
Yeah.
that I can be as I'm walking into this new season. And we wouldn't look at that any differently for any other line of work or job or
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like athlete, you wouldn't look at them differently. They would want to be in the best physical condition. And so wanting our hearts to be in that condition is important.
Being in the best physical condition, you learn things about each other. And we're gonna dive going. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. I would love for you to, but you don't have to. Give me something that okay. So we actually use Symbis in the way we do it. So basically, James and Megan took tests individually, separately. They fill out it's like 17 pages. They answer all these questions, and it's forwarded to us. I go through them. We look at them. We make notes. We see where we need to talk, what we got to work out. It tells hurdles and luggage and hurts and past and everything. It goes through it all, and then we just spend 4 hours breaking that down. So, in our 4 hours together, was there something that you learned? Like you said, you felt like, man, we're good.
Yeah.
We come in. Is there something that you learned and that you would feel good sharing and not get in trouble later? That when we got into this, I learned this about the other one that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah, I can.
Go for
I mean, really, just he was a lot more willing to be open and emotional in our time. Like he normally is pretty reserved and doesn't really express feelings as much. A lot of guys do that. So I don't know, just going into it and him just being able to share things about like childhood and family and just really his willingness to open up. Like I just going into that, I didn't think that would happen.
Yeah.
So I was just something I learned that
She's like,
you're
this guy has a soul.
Has
Emotions.
feelings.
He does care.
Kind of
does.
like
yeah.
And I will tell you, like it's very interesting, and you're not getting out of the answer,
I
right? Okay.
figured.
It's very interesting because I too, I know James from the ball field, and he's a dude, and guys are guys, and dudes are dudes. But it's interesting when you really start processing some things out,
yeah.
verbalizing it, talking about it, that you realize, man, there's a depth inside of me of stuff that I feel and I go through that maybe I've dealt with, maybe I haven't dealt with, but wow, it drives an emotional thing. And many guys will run from that feeling. Like you start getting down that road and you're like, oh, abort mission. I'm out of here. I don't want to start feeling, because we're taught as men to not do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a normal thing. So man, I give you real credit
Mhm.
and really honor you to say in that moment. I mean, I remember now. I honor for just letting go, and it's neat to see your future spouse go, man, I saw that, I hadn't seen that, and I learned that, and that was super special. So
Mhm.
just shows the vulnerability is a big deal. So
Yeah.
okay, your turn.
Sure.
No, yeah, no, we're answering, dude.
No, I mean the main thing with Megan is, I mean, yeah, we have those tough conversations. We have the good conversations. That's happens in a relationship. But to where being vulnerable is to where being open to show about her past or her past relationships or what she has or what she's going through, stuff like that. But just being open, being vulnerable to where we're not beating around the bush. She's straight to the point to where this is the problem. This would need to happen.
Mm.
She's not in the eye. She's not going, oh, here we could do this, we could do that. She's right in the middle. She takes ownership and she's one with the problem.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did when you're in this place where you go, wow, there's such vulnerability, and it did you expect, was that an expectation when you thought, hey, I'm gonna go in this office? You have taken the test,
Mhm.
so I guess
Yeah.
maybe you kind of know, like, oh crap, they may, but you don't know your results.
We
No.
didn't discuss. He was in North
No.
Carolina when he took it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't discuss it all.
I
We
mean,
just well,
to
yeah.
where, I mean, going into it, I knew, I mean, because like I said before, even going into premarital, I was like, I don't need, like, we're fine. Like, I already know what about you, you know about me, we're compatible.
Yeah.
But I mean, going into it, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I probably have some conflicts to where, I don't know, nobody's perfect.
Probably, dude. I'm not real sure.
I may have something wrong.
They're gonna have a tough time finding them, but maybe they're there. I don't.
And you also got to think 50% of marriages end in divorce. So you got to think, yes, our relationship is good right now, but I mean,
Yeah.
why is 50% of the marriages ending?
And
There's
So
conflict everywhere.
exactly. So I took the opportunity of just being, hey, I want to be open. I'm going to be
yeah,
vulnerable.
that's big.
I'm going to take this seriously to where
Yeah.
if something does come up to where he's asked me this question or this question, I'm going to be honest with him. I'm going to be honest with Megan, and we're going to see what it goes. And
Yeah, man, and bro, that is so well
is.
said. I mean, I think that's the heartbeat that you go, man, if you're going to go into coaching and you're going to go into
do
premarital,
it 100.
that's, you give it 100. That's it, man. Like, you're doing it.
Yep.
You might as well go all in and just see what happens. Cause
Yeah.
I feel like when we put in 50% or we put in 65% and then we wonder like, oh crap, my marriage is failing. Well, but you haven't given it 100 anyway. So
Right.
of course it's going to fail. They know half of who you are. They're married to a facade of who they think.
Yep.
Okay. So here's a good question.
He's stringing.
Do you have a question? Oh, I have a question. I'm ready to go. One thing you learned about your spouse, which is great.
Mhm.
A deeper one is one thing that test and that day spent you learned about you.
Your turn first.
Me? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, branching off to where, I mean, yes, I got vulnerable. I was willing to be open with what I have and what's going on. But to branch off what Megan said is giving out the feelings that I have to where, as a guy, you're like a turtle to where you're shelled and you're like, oh, that doesn't affect me. I'll beat around the bush. I'll get to it later. Just shoving it deep down to where you're like, meh, I'm fine. I'm a guy. But having the opportunity of letting it out, saying what's on my mind, having someone else talk me through it to where you're like, well, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe there's a solution. Maybe there's a different way to where it's not that serious to where it can be solved.
Yeah.
To where just opening up, having those feelings elevated and out just so you can see them personally, have your wife see them, and even have someone you have as a role model see it as a coach.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. That's so beautiful.
I got a follow-up question, but I'm gonna let her answer first.
Yeah, you gotta let her do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I learned about myself, how, growing up and watching like certain relationships in my life, how it really, it kind of I had ideas of what like my future relationship would look like. It kind of made like an impact on me. That there were some things that were so deep rooted in my life that I didn't even realize. Which going through premarital counseling, helped me realize some of those issues and look that hey, maybe this is something that I need to work on myself that I didn't even realize was there.
So good.
Wow. Because we end up all bringing luggage with us, right?
Oh,
No matter whether it's a Louis Vuitton or it's Walmart.
hey.
Like, we're bringing the bag.
Bringing Louis.
I don't know if we own Louis, but we're bringing,
We brought Walmart to ours. I can tell you that right now.
Coach.
it might be taped together too. But we all bring stuff. And so I think often we try to keep the bags packed and zipped up instead of like being willing to just help our spouses unpack. Like, hey, you can bring this here.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you sort whether or not we're going to keep it or we're going to get rid of it. And that's the one thing that I love seeing when we sit with couples is helping them unpack.
Yeah.
Unpack. Yeah.
So in the unpacking, and listen, y'all, you all got to know, like, there's something about that office, like emotions just flow all the time.
Like people walk in and they're like, I don't know. Now I can share.
We're like, hi, and they're like, wait, what were
Now
you
no
saying?
one's like, I'm not signing up. No.
But that's, it's just people getting set free, we believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when
getting-
people
yeah,
get
real.
healed. And so when you get real and set free, sometimes it brings emotion. Y'all, I mean, that day was so good in a lot of ways. And a lot of stuff we talked about. And emotions were that way and vulnerability was that way. Did you feel like there was, could you sense judgment? Did you feel that way? Did you feel like, man, I'm scared? Or was there a potential to feel like, man, I don't know if I want to go down this path because this guy may look at me different. I've known this guy for a long time. I don't even know this guy. I don't even want to see this way. I don't want my spouse maybe. Like the judgment thing, I think the enemy uses it a lot of times. It's a very real thing. And it'll
Right.
keep people quiet. Was that a fear at all and a thought, or did you feel it in that room? Or you're like, man, let's just ride. I didn't feel none of it.
Honestly, I didn't feel any judgment. I felt like it was a judgment-free zone to where, I mean, yes, I have a relationship with you, but I really didn't have any fears or any setbacks to where I didn't want to let everything out to where they would come back to haunt me. I feel like it was a safe environment to where we could talk about anything and it would be a safe environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, yeah. Never once felt like I couldn't say what I was feeling or what we were talking about. And it was definitely a safe space.
Which is great. Yeah, we man, that's like, it's the key, and it's why we, and premarital doesn't have to be done with us. Danette thinks we're the greatest in the country at it, and I tend to agree.
I think so.
It doesn't have to be done with us, but we're big fans of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the reality is, I tell everybody, and well, I tell people this, I don't tell everybody this, but I think you get Kurt in doses. Like some people like
Kurt.
doses of
Yeah.
Kurt, you
Yeah.
know. Other people,
Get full
doses
dose.
of Kurt are a lot. You know what I mean? I got to get somebody a little more chill than Kurt. He's a little much. So we always thought, like, find somebody you can trust.
Yeah.
Like somebody that you feel comfortable with, that you can get vulnerable and honest, that you can share the
Yeah.
deep, dark, because what's going to happen is those deep, dark wounds will surface. And it's going to surface in the way you talk and the way you handle each other. When conflict pops up, you pop back to this 8-year-old person or 9-year-old person, not even realize, like, man, you're getting a bad byproduct of an early childhood trauma.
Yeah.
So it is a must to get to this place where there's an openness and a willingness to go, hey, we just want to kind of air it all out there so that we can get healed. So you got to find somebody you can trust doing that.
Yeah.
Whether it's, us, your pastors, your mentors, whoever that is, have somebody that you can do that. So
I think one of the reasons why also we love doing it the way with this program and the way we do it is because even though the premarital counseling we had, I know they were doing the best they could with what they had. I think we walked through so much and we saw so many areas that weren't touched on and that we didn't learn about. And we did come with all our luggage. And so helping couples realize like, hey, let's expose all of this before we
Yeah.
take this like very big vow
Mhm.
that's supposed to be what till death do us part,
Yeah.
and let's like actually walk through some things together. I think that's why we take it so serious.
What
you
was
know?
your favorite section? Or the one that was most impactful?
Goodness.
And geez, there's 17 pages.
He like
That's
lists all the
what's fun
sections
here.
again.
I know, right?
There's like
I'm trying
15
to
of
run
them.
through them in my own head.
I say there was one. I can't think. It was. I think it compared us to where it showed. I think strongly agree. Or no, which ones we do.
Yeah.
I would take out the trash.
The
or like,
task
no,
you
take out the
have.
trash. Yeah, the task.
Expectations.
Oh,
Yes, that's what it
wow.
was. That was my
Yeah.
favorite.
I didn't
Oh.
even answer one of them.
Hey, she literally was like, nah, neither of us are doing this one.
Oh, it's the kids one.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, which
Takes
one?
care of
The
the kids.
kids.
She's like,
Hey, the kids are running road.
Like what?
When
Yeah.
nobody's taking care of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that section. And the other section that I truly love, that I don't know that necessarily are people like it, are the ones that throw up the flags.
Mm,
You know, like
yeah.
you have this many flags
Yep.
that you got to talk about, and
Like
you have
potential dangerous zones.
Mhm.
yeah, and it's just how you answer questions. And
Right,
so
right.
right here in front of your face, it's like, oh, I have 8 flags. Uh-oh. And your partner's
And
got
they're
like
not
2,
all
and you're like,
green. They're not all
maybe
green
I am the
flags.
problem.
There's some red.
your partner's starting to wonder, like, we may not be right. I'm glad we did this premarital, you know. But just being able to then go, okay, let's talk about all of these. Why? And I think that's the reason I love it, is because that one section in particular is the one where I see the biggest healing
Yeah.
of past hurts,
Mhm.
and knowing that, hey, I'm leaving this in this office and I don't have to carry this to the altar.
Yeah.
That
Mm.
I mean, that to me is just a big deal.
Were there any moments when you guys got on the other side of the altar, right? The other side of I do. Every couple has, you know, things they walk through. So you're like, anytime you got on the other side and you're like, oh man, this is something we talked about in premarital, and we're already like needing to walk through. Like, was there anything, you don't have to give an example if you don't feel comfortable, but like anything that you're like, man, there was something that we already have, you know, really had to face or, you know, look at head on
Mhm.
that we already talked about in that room. And we're like, wow, yeah, this is something that we're going to have to, you know, walk through as a couple, or look, it hasn't been big, but
Yeah.
anything. Could be the trash.
Yeah.
You know? Could be.
I have one.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. You want to
Sure.
go? Okay.
The one where we had talked about sometimes I'm not very good at listening
That was
skills.
mine.
They both agree.
That's the one.
Look at the unity this brought.
Yeah.
But no,
it's
that is-
me.
that is
it
a-
is. Yeah. Sometimes I can't, like, if I'm looking at something like on my phone and like I'm deep in thought, and sometimes I tune everything else out, and I do it to everybody,
Yeah.
so it's not personal. But we had talked about that in premarital, and how if he says something to me and it resonates, and I'm just like, what? And he would just shut down and not say it again.
Wow.
So that has come up again, because you know.
A lot.
But he has definitely said it again. And I'll put my phone down and I'll just give him my full attention, and he'll repeat it.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
Because there would be times where she'd tap like, you don't care. I'm done.
Ah.
I'm not talking to
I
you.
do care.
I do care. I do care. It's not
I'm listening.
It's not.
Oh, I actually remember that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that whole conversation.
Every
That was
time
a
that
big
happens, I
dialogue.
think of it.
Yeah,
Every time that happens, I think of it. I'm like, fine.
Yep.
Kurt told me this.
No, I'm
Relax.
like, don't you remember we talked
Yeah,
about this in
Remember
premarital
what Kurt
counseling?
said?
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're right.
That is hilarious.
That's awesome.
So you already said easier than you thought.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't really a challenge, I would say. It was just, it's nothing you had to study for. To where, yeah, you took the test, but it was just more of
A heart
what
thing.
you
Heart
had.
check, yeah.
Exactly. So it all depends what you wanted to get rid of or put on the table. So it wasn't really a challenge to do it. It's just if you want to take ownership and actually do it yourself.
Oh, so the challenge would actually be if you didn't come prepared to be
Mhm.
honest and open,
Yeah.
Yeah.
now you're dancing around truth.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
See if you want to do it.
Oh.
So good. And the only person that you're really withholding from is
Yourself.
yourself and your spouse,
And
right?
yeah.
Like not us, because we're
Well, you're not holding from yourself because You know it.
That's
Yeah.
true. But I mean, you're not being fully vulnerable with
I mean,
the one that,
relationship, yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
If you, yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's actually really good. Man, well done, Peeler. Wow, that's
Yeah, I coached well.
Now you're Peeler.
After premarital, I'm like, man, I'm in it.
Give me, try to think of two things each, or maybe one thing that made it easy. Like, what are the tools that you went, it made it easy because blah. Could be the test, could be the environment, could be the temperature of the
Don't give 'em
room,
all the
the
answers.
couches.
Say, yeah, these are great answers.
I mean, if he, he's like, I'll take all those. I'm done.
I think what made it easy is, well, one, he made it easy. Your spouse, just he was
Great answer.
super willing to listen.
Mm.
I think just be there. So when I was working through something during the counseling, he just really just took it in, understood, and responded well to it.
Ooh,
So that
what a
was
great answer.
that was a major thing. And then my second thing would be, honestly, your premarital counselor. It's just, for me, my biggest thing was, finding someone who, has a strong relationship with the Lord, who's faithful and who can, kind of set a good foundation for your marriage.
I don't want to take yours, but I would say
I can say the first one was great. The second one, I mean, I could say it was great. But, like, you nailed that one.
yeah.
It feels right. But it is very true. Like, that is very
Yeah.
real. That makes it easy.
I would say, I mean, one would be just having the presence to where we both took ownership, to where we're both like, we're going to do this. I mean, having us both agree and having going in there 100% full hearted, we're going to put everything out there to where I feel like that made it easier, to where you weren't going, wait, you didn't do that, but I didn't do this, or you didn't say that. And we were both on the same page. We were compatible
Yeah.
on what we had on our answers, to where we were given to Kurt. And it just flowed. I feel like those 4 or 5 hours, first of all, flew by. And then second off, to where we didn't really hit a speed bump, to where we were just having a conversation
Yeah.
and just talking about our hearts and our relationship. I would go back on my second one to be ownership, to where we're not hiding from ourselves. We're being open, to where, again, we're not making it hard on ourselves, to where we're like, oh, we're not going to say this, we're not going to say that. We're going to
Yeah.
have it easy. We're going to say it out there. We're going to have a conversation, and we're going to get it all out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Being
Those are some great answers.
being both on the same page as I think is key in premarital. To where if she's on page 4 and I'm on page 7, she's falling behind. She's like, oh, what? And I'm flying ahead, to where if, like, say I'm putting 100% in and she's not, or
Yeah.
vice versa,
Yeah.
you will be on different pages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's tough.
Megan, all those great answers. And I think, Megan, that active listening part of really engaging and hearing your heart and letting you process the things that you had to process the way that you needed to process them, and really being a support through that. I mean, it's all the difference, right?
Mhm.
Like, you even saying it that way is like, oh my gosh, that I had never thought of it like that, but it really expedites
Mm.
the healing process. The scar is going to be there, like forever a scar to talk about and give God glory somehow through it.
Mhm.
But that healing of that wound with that active listening and that support system
Yeah.
can really make that trauma a lot less painful. And both of y'all, I mean, I remember the scenario. I mean, both of y'all did that extremely well in
Wow.
support and holding up arms and really encouraging through it. So well done. Well done.
I think
All right.
what you realize too is, it goes back to when you was talking about ownership, you end up truly feeling like when you walk out of the room, you should
Free.
feel closer.
Yep.
Yeah, you should feel like, man,
Yeah,
I've seen
free,
Yeah, I feel
closer.
free.
Yeah.
I feel like I know a part of you that maybe I haven't seen to that extent.
Mhm.
And I think it actually draws you closer to that altar that day that you say I do, instead if you do it fully and openly.
Well, and I think that's why we try to, because that's such a great, I think that's why we try to go full circle with it. Like, okay, let's get on the tension cycle now. It's been exposed. It's honest. We process out, we heal through it, and then there's redemption through it.
Right.
So that it's not like we get through 3 of the steps, we finish, and y'all get to the car and you're like, I never knew none of that about you. Where'd that, like, we're healing things in the moment, and God's doing things in the moment that we can get to the car and we can feel united and,
Yeah.
and know it's healed.
Totally, yeah.
And we're not taking that into our, so good. Okay. So let's do this. You have a couple, they're going to get married. And right now they're thinking, should we not?
You sound like me.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We're good. Yeah, we're good, or we're not good. I don't know. And you were the last person they get to talk to before they do or don't.
Mhm.
What would you encourage a young couple?
I mean, I'll go. But I mean, what I'd say is, I mean, first off, to where I'd ask if their relationship, if in their state, if it's, if 100%, if they're both feeling good about going into it. And of course, they're going to say yes. I mean, they're about to get married. But then go out and say, then why do you think 50% of marriages end in divorce? To where I had to let them answer that question, why they think, and be like, well, wouldn't it be a smart idea to tackle those challenges or those conflicts before, so getting started, so you're building a foundation base to where all your conflicts are here. The only way you can go is up.
Yeah.
To where if you put all those conflicts and then you put God in the middle of it, to where, I mean, you can't go any lower.
Yeah.
You got to go higher. To where if everything's out there, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. That's a great, and when you say all the subjects, you're right. They're not going to list one that we don't go over on that test.
Exactly.
Finances, family, sex, intimacy, roles, I mean, it hits everything.
Yeah.
So there's not one that they're going to go, why do I think 50%? Because of this and this. Well, excellent. Because it goes over that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this and that. Well, it goes over that too. I mean,
guarantee you'll get a red flag.
yeah.
Because I got plenty.
I have yet to have someone do it that there hasn't been one red flag.
Absolutely.
At least one red flag. So,
No.
which
We've
I love.
actually had some couples that have had a lot of green flags. I'm like, oh, this one, they don't have much. And you get in there and you still have we still have a lot
Yeah.
to process, because we're human. We have so many things
Oh, yeah.
to walk through. We're so multifaceted, but yeah,
It's human nature.
human nature. That's right.
You're wrong.
Living that way. We sing on every pod. So
This is
You don't want me on the mic.
no, I sing.
Okay.
You don't take my my spotlight.
Make sure we're on the same
Like
page.
relax a little bit.
don't want him on the mic either singing, but he still does.
All right, Megan. What would you say?
I think the biggest thing is just communication. That's a huge thing, I feel like, in every relationship. Like you said, you get everything out on the table.
Yeah.
And, prior to premarital counseling, there's things that we may not even have thought of to
No.
even talk about. So, having those conversations, like people that you may disagree on something you never thought you would disagree on.
Wow.
And during that time, you get to sit there, unpack it all. You get to work it out, and you find that conflict resolution.
Yeah,
I think that's like the biggest thing.
That's so good.
Communication's key.
So as we wind this thing down, I'm gonna ask you the question that I love to ask people. It's something I love to know. You've been married almost 4 months. What is the single greatest thing about marriage outside of sex? What's the single greatest thing that you get to experience now that you didn't then?
I would say, because even in premarital, I found the difference between intimacy and sex. To where I would say intimacy would be my key with marriage.
Really?
To where, oh yeah, but to where
Changed man.
Changed man.
premarital does wonders, ladies and gentlemen.
She said changed man.
But to where, because we both have traditional families, to where I couldn't sleep over at the house, at her house, or if I did, I'd have to sleep on the couch in her sister's bed, stuff like that. To where we honestly had to wait for everything for marriage, which is how it should be. But I don't know, just having. What's the question again?
You got to intimate. Hey, the man
Best part, okay, yeah.
He got to intimate in sex, and his mind went blank. He's like, I don't. What's the best part of
Like,
sex?
wait.
I don't know. Wait, what are we talking about here? Sex? Bro, you went rogue in a hurry, dude.
It was so good.
I even
It just
said
stopped.
outside of sex. Like I'm trying to debunk you from that. She said it was so good you should have stopped.
All right, back on track. I would say intimacy.
Intimacy, it's great.
Because, like I said, traditional and all that stuff. I would, leave her house, stuff like that. And we wouldn't have,
Yeah.
But just having in our own home, having our own alone time, having our own holding the hand, cooking dinner, watching the dog, walking the dog, going on a walk, stuff like that. It's to where it's branched as closer as a relationship and as a couple, to where it's different from when we were before, to where we're kind of separated. To where like, oh, good night, go home, you stay here, vice versa.
Yep.
Also, to where now we live together. No chaperone, no nothing. It's just us. We can have all the cosmic brownies we have, cookies, all that stuff. Responsibility comes in the mix of that. But I mean, it's just having the intimacy to where we can
so
make our own decisions
Yeah.
and just have that alone time with just us.
I love the way you label out intimacy too. Like
Yeah.
walking the dogs, taking a walk.
Yeah.
Those are intimate moments, and that's
It's
a
just
big
alone time you have to
Yeah.
cherish.
He
Yeah.
washes the pots for me.
I do.
I hate
Wow.
those.
That's amazing.
That is true intimacy.
She literally just the other day we were talking. I forgot, were we in a session or something? And she's like, there really is nothing hotter than a man in the kitchen. And I'm like,
a man doing the dishes.
I'm like, wait, what?
Give me the apron.
I didn't know that. What are you talking about? All
I
right.
did the dishes the next day. Not
What? Yeah, exactly. Shirtless.
Just the apron.
I took it
just
up.
the apron.
Just the apron. Just the apron. Yeah. All right, Megan. What would you say?
I definitely agree with you. I feel like it's intentional time. Just doing like it. We come home to each other every night now. It's not something we used to do. But we never try and do like our own separate thing. A lot of times we just try to watch a movie together, a show together. We'll play games. So I just like you said, walking the dog.
Mhm.
I'll walk him in the morning. He walks him at night.
We do have a good system there. We do.
Yeah.
She doesn't like going in the dark.
Yeah, I
at
don't
night.
like.
Yeah.
So
I don't
do
like the
that.
dark.
Criminals don't do anything in the morning. It's just a
Sleeping dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Well, you two, listen. I know it's been a long day for y'all, and I know you went above and beyond to be here for this. Super special to us.
Yes.
Obviously, Peeler, you know who you are to me.
Mhm.
Megan, the fact that he sees you the way he does means that you are an amazing person. It was an honor to spend time with y'all, the time we got to spend. And I just pray that, if you're out there and you're thinking about it, hey, do we not do it? Do we do it? Is there a benefit? I hope this pod has really shown you there are massive, massive benefits to just sitting with someone, taking ownership, being communicative, and wanting to take the best version of you
Yeah.
into your marriage. That's all this is for, so that your spouse marries the greatest version of you that they've ever known.
Yep.
So, premarital, check it out. Do it. It's good. You can do it with us, brokenforbetter.com.
We did it.
We did it.
We're still going 4 months.
4 months. It works. That's good. Good.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, we encourage you, check us out on all of our socials at Broken for Better for more ways you can be plugged in.
Yes, and if we can help you or your family with anything like coaching or other resources, please connect with us at brokenforbetter.com.